So there's the seriousness side of what we're here to speak about today, meaning and purpose. Now, just to lighten things up about meaning and purpose, I want to start with a little story. And this story is about a lady who came into my WTF experience in Auckland, New Zealand. And at the very beginning of the WTF experience, I asked a few people, from stage, why did you guys come here? What brought you here today? Always interesting to know, what brought someone to that program. And, a few people put their hand up, and this lady was very strong, dominant. She was a very strong, dominant Russian woman. I was like, all right, well, why are you here? She said, I'm here to find my purpose. And I was like, great, thank you. She goes, no. She had something more to say. I go, yes. She goes, are you going to give me my purpose? I said, no. She goes, well, why am I here for then? I said, you're here to realize your purpose. She goes, so when I leave today or tomorrow, I will know my purpose. And I said, maybe not. And me having the realization, as I'm saying this, that purpose has nothing to do with what she does. Purpose has nothing to do with what you do. Purpose, as we've spoken about many times in previous OMGs, is in who you are. You then give purpose to what you do, which we're going to expand on today and have a conversation about that. So the WTF experience is all about realizing who you are. But if she's sitting there going, well, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Then she's filtering what I'm actually saying based on what she's going to do so she can find purpose in what she does. You see? So when she says, am I going to find my purpose? When I say, well, it depends on you, well, what I'm actually saying is, it depends if you're going to actually be here and realize who you are. Because then you'll find purpose in who you're being, and then you give purpose to what you do rather than get purpose from what you do. So that was my answer to her. And of course, I don't think she was satisfied with that answer. And throughout the day, she became a main character in the WTF experience. Every program around, there's main characters. There's always someone who becomes the pinnacle point with me in holding space or playing a role in creating some kind of space in the WTF experience or in anything. I mean, we just finished the retreat. There's about 3 or 4, maybe 5 main characters, and I would keep going to those characters because they played a role in reflecting so many things with different people. So this lady became a main character in the WTF experience. So as we kept going along, after day 1, she came back on the Sunday, a bit flustered, flicks her, I think she had a feather scarf on something, and and she's like, on Sunday morning, puts her hand up, I still have not found my purpose. I said, well, your purpose will find you. She's like this, I don't know about that, she says. And long story short, halfway through Sunday, she puts her hand up again. She goes, are you going to show me my purpose or what? I said, so I guess you still haven't found your purpose. She goes, no. I said, well, if you still haven't found your purpose, I don't think you're going to find your purpose here. And she goes, okay, we're done. Walks out. So I always remember that story because I loved how she was so driven to find her purpose. And that's what it became. It became her purpose. So that's, I thought it was an interesting story to share with you guys about this lady storming out because she didn't find her purpose at the WTF experience. Because she was looking for her purpose in what she was doing. What do I need to do so I can live purposeful? So what do we know about purpose? See, can't help myself now. What do we know about purpose? Let's start with that first comment. Purpose is not in what we do. Purpose is in who we are. And when we realize who we are, we no longer know our purpose, we become purpose. Then we give purpose to what we do. And I'm just going to give you reference points to that comment. Reference points to the different things we've spoken about over the last 8-9 months. There's a big difference between knowing the truth and being the truth. The difference is the person who knows the truth or understands it cannot live the truth. The person who is being the truth doesn't have to live it. Do you understand? They are being it, which is in turn living it. So therefore they don't need to live it, they are being their truth. And when you're being the truth, by the way, it doesn't mean you know the truth. You're just being it. And if someone asks you a question, it's not like you are all-knowing, but because you're being it when the question is asked, then you will know the answer to that question. But it's not like you're walking around all-knowing. The more deeper I've dived into truth, the less knowing I became. Or the less knowing I needed to be. In other words, it's not that I had all the answers to my questions began to die off to the point where I had no more questions. You see? The search finished. And every time I've had questions now, okay, if a question did arise, and from time to time a question may arise, right? I don't go and look for the answer to the question. I already know I have the answer. This is why when people say, when you ask a question, you already know the answer to the question you asked. You wouldn't have asked the question if you didn't know the answer. So the moment any question arises, there is a feeling sitting here that is the answer. Not last month, maybe the month before, we spoke about there's a big difference between putting your power into something versus using your power through something. I'm giving you another reference point here. You make the associations to what I'm saying. There's a big difference. Who remembers that? Putting your power into something versus using your power through something. What's the difference? The difference is when you're putting your power into something, you, okay, when I say you as the identity, are reaching out or using a power that's not yours. It's part of yours, but, this is the term when you use a thing, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it into the universe. So you as the identity is using the power. Guess what? That's duality, two. You, the power. Not only is that two, duality, okay, you are actually telling yourself that I am going to use the power. What else are you telling yourself?
You don't have that power.
Not only you don't have the power, you are not the power. You see, it flips upside down. It's irreversible. It's the opposite, however you want to call it, 180 degrees opposite. If you realize the truth, you are the power and you're using yourself as form. You are not form using the power of formless. You are the formless expressing yourself, which is using your power, into form, into this costume, into these clothes. And when I say clothes, I'm talking about form. I'm talking about being the physical. You are not the painted. You are the painter, painting. this physical experience you're having is the painted. So we continuously put power into something, which, what does putting power into something means? It means it makes it, if you like, concrete that this is separate to me and I have no control over it. Therefore, I attempt or try to control it. What we spoke about in previous months when we said, how do you know when something is controlling you? How do you know when something has control over you? Because you try to control it. Reference points. When you are not your purpose, you look to find your purpose in what you do. Now, nothing wrong with that. This is what most of humanity is doing. They are finding themselves in what they're doing rather than finding themselves and giving not their power to what they do, but express who they are through what they do. Most of humanity, are doing that. And the ones who are not doing that are not aware or conscious that they're not doing that. It's like when someone's in the flow, they don't know how they got there. You know, every time you come here and you listen or watch this stuff, what you are feeling is the formless. You're not coming here to learn what I'm saying. And if that's what you've been doing, which I told you not to do at the beginning, right, then what you're doing is learning a version of what I'm saying. So then you take what I'm saying back into your life and try to apply it. You don't apply this, you be this. But every time you come here, you feel more expanded when you leave. That's why you continue to come here. That's why you continue to watch this, because you can feel yourself expanding. And the reason you feel yourself expanding is because I am talking about something that's formless. I am talking about this space. Forget about what I'm saying. Through talking about this space, I am connecting through that space. Through you connecting through what I'm saying, you're connecting to that space. So really what you're doing is connecting to yourself. Forget about what's being said. It has nothing to do with it. What do you feel every time you feel that space? You're feeling purpose. But it has nothing to do with what you do. When we do the oneness meditation, and I keep referring back to this, when you do, I just did a corporate gig just last week or 2 weeks ago, straight after the retreat. And I took these guys through a meditation. I mean, when I say corporate, it was really interesting. It was a wide range of people. I had sales managers, I had CEOs or the founders of the company, right? But this company owned two different things, two different entities. One of the entities, I had truck drivers, machine operators, tractor drivers and all that kind of stuff. And then the other one, I had chefs, waiters, waitresses, a wide range of, I had a smorgasbord in front of me. Usually when I want to chat or conversate, I look and I feel the clients or feel who I'm connecting with and meet them where they're at and then take them to where I want to go. But I had to meet so many people because there's so many different versions of them. There's people sitting there, truck drivers sitting there going you have these ones, but then you have these ones. The really high raised, what do you got for me? I'm being paid to be here. That kind of stuff. So I'm just trying to give you an idea of the range of people that I had. And here I am talking about love, talking about intuition, talking about purpose. And, they start to go, they scratch their head and go, oh yeah, that happened, have a few laughs and all that kind of stuff. And, there's a bit of entertaining. And then I say to them, let me give you an experience of what I'm saying. All right? We're going to do a guided meditation. It's not really a meditation. Don't worry if you meditate or not. And I tell them, I don't meditate. I'm just doing this so you can experience what I'm talking about. So everyone's like, all right. So we sit in a circle. You know, I get the corporation to move all the tables they had there, pens, papers, get rid of it. And we sit in a circle, and I take them through a oneness meditation. You know the one, we expand out, 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 out. And we expanded out, came back, finished the meditation, and I said, what did you feel? What was the answer to your question? Because remember, the question is, what's important for you right now? What matters right now? And, you know, a couple of them had some logical answers, and I was like, wow, these guys didn't really grasp that. How did you not feel that, you know? And then one of the truck drivers goes, oh, this is a really weird answer, but I felt great, and I felt like nothing mattered. And then everyone went, yeah, I felt that too, because everyone was trying to give the answer they meant to have. But you see, when you do that meditation, right, when you do that little, whatever you want to call it, process or whatever, when you are feeling the expanded self, when you're feeling yourself being expanded in amongst the space, and by the way, that space that you're expanded in is not the formless. That space amongst the universe is space amongst the form. But it's a version of it, right? It's a reflection of the formless. Because the universe itself is not infinite. Why? Because they know that universe is still expanding, which is a reflection of your expanded self. Your awareness is expanding, right? But anyway, when you're amongst that, and I ask what matters now, and people say nothing, remember, within that nothing is everything. Yes? Right there, you felt purpose. Who knows what I'm talking about? You felt purpose, and it had nothing to do with what you do. So I want you to grasp that. Now, peel this purpose, this label purpose away, and what is it that really purpose is? You know, we need to first define what is purpose before we go on further. What is that? What did you feel? You felt purpose. Okay, so what did you feel? Microphone, please. Being. So, okay, great. So what does that, if you had to put another word to that, what is being? Yes? Microphone.
Alive.
You felt alive. Okay, great. So look at all the different feelings or labels that we associate with purpose. You felt alive. You felt being. Microphone.
By being, I mean I felt present.
Present, so you were being present, you're being now, you're being the moment, yes? Monty? You felt love. So really, it's not purpose. We go back to love again. We go back to love again. And it is when you feel love, right? And it's in the nothingness that you could feel love. And it's not the human-made love, it's love that's infinite. So purpose is in the infinite love of who you are. It is not in what you do. It never is. It never was. It never will be. However, you will have versions of purpose, love, presence, being alive, whatever word you have for it, where all those words are describing the same thing. You will have versions of that. when you are doing something. But the moment you are doing whatever it is you're doing, it's a temporary. That's why I call it versions. You feel the purpose in what you do temporarily. And in order for you to continue to feel the purpose in what you do, you need to keep going and doing that, and keep doing it at a larger scale, which is a reflection of your expanded self. You think you got to do it in form, in a larger scale. In other words, the bigger carrot that gets dangled in front of you, in order for you to continue to feel purpose. You see, that's why I say it's a version of it, because it's not yours. You got to keep chasing it. One of the biggest things that people get from the WTF experience, the most impactful things they get, the immediate things, is to do what they love to do. And it shifts their life immediately, and to be themselves. Now those two things, it shifts people's lives. And as they go along, there's a next phase. Because when they start doing what they love to do, they love it. And why? Because they're now they're experiencing their purpose, and they're experiencing who they are in what they do. So then they become a slave to keep doing that. And they have to keep doing that in order to feel that aliveness. Do you see why I'm saying it's a version? So when someone starts to do what they love to do, it's a great step. But there's more work to do. And they have to go down that road, and they grow their company, grow themselves, grow their family, grow whatever it is they love, right? They're growing because what they really want to do is expand their love. But when they're doing it through form, they're growing the form of it. And they want to do more and more and more and more. In other words, they're chasing the carrot. And then they realize, holy shit, I'm doing the same thing as I was doing before. Although I'm doing what I love to do, not what I need to do, but I'm now become a slave to doing what I love to do. So I'm still a slave. And then they go, hang on a sec, there's something deeper. There's still something more. Maybe I'll go back to that OMG program that he was talking about. And the people come back around and go, all right, what do you know? It's my same journey. My mum has been raising me this way the whole way. And then as soon as I found what I love to do, I just went and dedicated myself to it, and I love doing it. And my mum said, stop working so hard, stop working so... Life is split in 3. 24 hours sleep, 24 hours play, 8 hours play, 8 hours sleep, 8 hours work. Don't do any more than 8 hours. I go, Mum, but I love it. I don't care. I'm doing 16 hours. Then she goes, okay, go do it. And I loved what I did. And I was enjoying it, but then I got to a point where I started to realize, oh my God, I'm still on a treadmill. Yeah, I love what I do. Yeah, I found what I love. Yeah, I'm finding my purpose, but that's not my real purpose. That's the light that's coming through the blinds. I'm experiencing the light that's coming through the blinds. I'm not experiencing being the light still. I'm experiencing a version of purpose, because the true purpose, or life, aliveness, love, presence, whatever word you have for it, the true essence is not temporary. It's eternal. And it has nothing to do with the external. It's internal and it's eternal. It's not just sometimes you experience it. You experience it at all times. It's not based from what you do, or what you have, or what you not do, or what you don't have. So I knew that now, although I've got a step closer to who I am, and being alive and being fulfilled in life, there's still something missing. Because now I'm doing what I love to do, but I'm still a slave. I'm still on the treadmill. So that's why I make that statement, purpose is not in what you do, it's in who you are. And when you realize who you are, you become purpose, then you give purpose to what you do. Excuse me. When I say give purpose to what you do, you are expressing who you are through what you do. You're not giving your power to what you do. I am not an inspirational speaker. What you do is not what you are or who you are. I am just expressing who I am in this moment through the form of being an inspirational speaker, inspiring people, changing lives and changing and impacting the world. But that's not who I am. That's what I do. Think about it. When you go to a party or a function, what's the first question someone asks? One of the first questions they ask, what do you do? What's your name? What do you do? Because what you do can be measured. Who you are cannot. It's infinite. What you do can be measured. So the moment you say, I am a stockbroker, how long have you been doing that for? Right there, they're measuring your bank balance, your status, what kind of possessions you have, your lifestyle. They're like going, putting you in a category and going, that's who you are. And then they go, oh, I've been doing that for longer than you. I've probably got more money than you. And that's what they're doing. Most people, they're actually not interested in what you do. Because if they were really interested in what you do, they would ask who you are. Who are you? Now that question, it seems so alien. Can you imagine going out to a function and going, who are you? What do you mean, who am I? I am Alexandra. Can't you see my name here? The second. I come from a family of, Now, sure, you won't ask that question, who are you? It's not the kind of question, but there is questions that come from that space where you want to know someone. Who are you? It's like that movie Avatar. Every time they saw each other, how would they greet each other? They put their hand on each other and they say, I see you. I see you for who you are. Not what you do, what you've done, what you're going to do. Purpose is in who you are, not in what you do. You know, one of the biggest traps, and I talk about it all the time, one of the biggest traps is that when you realize who you are, you begin to express. When the moment you connect more and more with who you are, you begin to express that. And then you then confuse what you're expressing in your doing as my purpose. I did that. I began to connect and dive and study and self-realize who I am. And as I began to express that through my writings, coachings, and speakings, then I started to perceive, not that I realized, then I started to perceive, oh, I am an author, I am an international speaker, I am an inspirational speaker. That's who I am. That's what I do. And then I would lose who I am in what I do. And then I would go, and that's what I'm talking about. Because it stops flowing. And you took a part of yourself out, and you've got this part. Now you're trying to grow this part in what you do and what you have, in your status, in how many books you sell, and how many people are on your mailing list, and how many people follow you, and how many people freaking know you. And then you're like, oh, something's missing still. What is it? Well, you took the purpose, and you took a part of it. Rather than keep letting it flow out, you try to contain what came out, and you try to hold on to it. And guess how you hold on to it? You give it meaning, which we're going to talk about this afternoon. Meaning, this is who I am, this is what I do, and this is what that means. And why do you try to hold on to it? The moment you have a bit of purpose and you're bringing to express it, why do you try to hold on to it? Because you think it's not who you are. You can feel it flowing through you. You don't know that that flowing through you is who you are. Because you don't think it's who you are, you want to hold on to it and you want to keep it. You want to contain it. You want to put it in a box and identify with it. This is who I am. This is my status. This is my credibility. And that way you get to control it. No, you don't keep it. The moment you keep it, you lose it. Do you know what I'm really saying? The moment you try to keep your power, the expression of your power, the moment you try to keep, you've lost it. It's gone. I was speaking to you a moment ago about every month you come here and you feel your purpose. You feel who you are. You feel the purpose and who you are in the nothingness. Within the nothingness is everything. Every time you come here, you feel it. You feel more and more of who you are. And then every time you keep coming back here, your capacity or the space that you have to feel who you are becomes expanded. So then you feel more of who you are. The more expanded you are, the more you're feeling who you are right now. Not in the words I'm saying, but the space that's created. So let me give you a little metaphor, analogy, if you like, of what I'm saying. You know, when we speak about that balance, let's say balance is the prison. Yeah, we've heard me say that before. Is it important to find balance? Yes, it is. Because when you found balance, you're at the door of the truth. But you didn't come here just to sit in balance, because that's as good as having a penthouse within your prison. You see, you're still in prison. And for those who need to remember why the balance was a prison, well, because when you have positives, you have equal negatives. When it's good, it's equal bad. When it's right, it's equal wrongs. It's duality. And it's always in proportion. It always balances itself out. Now, why is it better? And I'm going to use the word better right now. That's not the truest word. Why is it better to be in balance than not balanced? Because when you're out of balance, you're experiencing the highs and lows of life. If you're at the edge of the seesaw, the up and down is far greater than when you are closer to balance. The up and down becomes less and less. And some people have a really balanced life because they've studied so many different philosophies, and then, you know, he's taught to be balanced. And yes, they have a well-balanced life, but they're still within the box. And that's why I always say they've built a penthouse. They've built a penthouse amongst the prison. So that means they're still limited. And just in case some of you are thinking, well, no, I'm not limited anymore. Okay? You're not limited anymore when you are the power. If you're still trying to use the power, that means you still think this body, this form is who you are. You're not the power yet, my dear. So every time you come here, it is like you go to this door of the truth. Because every time you come here, I am speaking from what is outside of the box. So you come here, and every time you're feeling this, you are looking the door of the truth. You look outside and you see what you see. And really what you see is not what you see, it's what you feel. And you feel the expansion. You feel the purpose. You feel the love. Right? As you're sitting here, you feel that. As you're looking out, you feel that. But not everybody is ready to step through the door. It takes time to step through the door. I'll tell you why in a moment. So when you're not ready to step through the door and go into the bliss, the abyss, the bliss, whatever you want to call it, what you do then is you look and you feel and you go, this sounds familiar. This feels familiar. That's who I am. But you're still in the box looking out. That's who I am. So you understand who you are because you can see it, third eye, you can feel it. But because you're not ready to step outside of the prison yet, you turn back around and go, all right, what do I need to do to keep feeling that? You see? So then you find something to do, your purpose. And when you do your purpose, you feel what you felt when you looked outside of the box. But guess what? Because it's not who you are, you can't keep it. So then you try to contain it and control it and give it an identity and give it a meaning. We're going to come to meaning this afternoon. Give it a meaning and go, this is who I am. This is, and when I say this is who I am, you're describing what you do as who I am. And you feel alive. But you don't feel alive. You feel alive in what you do. Which is temporary, because you can't keep doing it. When you walk out from the box, when you walk out, walk through that door, you become your purpose. It's like the drop walking out of the bottle. We talk about this in the WTF. The drop walking out of the bottle that's floating in the ocean. What happens? You're no longer the drop, you are the ocean. You're no longer doing something to feel your purpose. You become purpose. Now, I made a comment. When you're ready to walk through that door, every time you bring yourself to the now, you are at the door. And in the now, you can feel your intuition, you can look outside and you can feel the certainty, you see? And that's what when I talk about this, just to give you another link, all right? Finding the certainty in the uncertain. Because when you look out, all you feel is uncertainty. Right? Because what you're feeling is infinity. It's infinite energy. Infinite energy is not one certain thing. It's all certain things, which makes it uncertain. But the feeling of infinity gives you a sense of certainty. So you're finding certainty in the uncertain. You're finding, within the nothing. Because when you look out there, you find nothing. Right? But when I say nothing, you don't find labels or judgments or meanings. We're going to be talking about that this afternoon. There's no meaning out there. So when you're looking out there, it's meaningless. Right? That's why you're like, well, hang on, I'm all about meaning. I'm all about labeling and identifying. If I go out there, I think I will lose meaning. I will lose my identity. There's a lot that you lose when you step out there. And not everyone is prepared to lose that yet. The moment you step, and it's your choice. Every single one of you choose the moment you step out there. And I'm not talking about death. That's not what I'm talking about. Okay? Or if anything, death of the ego, and like they talk about in spiritual teachings, they say you got to die before you die. Right? Yes, that's what we're talking about. But you came here to be alive while you're supposedly alive. Do you understand? So the moment you walk out there, everything you know is gone. Past, future is gone. Labels is gone. So, what we're talking about there, that is the fear. Because the reason you have fear to step outside is because you have an awareness of who's looking outside. You think it's you that's looking outside. You don't know it's the ocean that is looking outside. You still think I am looking outside. So therefore I as the identity, not I as the infinity, I as the identity is not willing to go outside, because if you go outside, there is no more I as the identity. There is only the I as the infinity. Which is all that there is, like we've spoken about in previous OMGs. There's either infinity or there's finite. You can't have both. If something is infinite, then that means that's all there is. That's why I make the statement, love is all there is, all else is your judgment of what is. It's either infinite or you have this finite experience, this duality experience. You cannot say, I'm finite, but then I have an infinite self. Well, that's not infinite. If you exist, if you as the finite exists, then you as the infinite does not exist. Because there can't be infinite, which is only one, and you as finite, that's two. So you can see every time you're coming here, you're feeling. I'm speaking from out there, so you feel out there. You think you're understanding it, but it has nothing to do with understanding. Every time you come, you're preparing yourself for one day to walk out there. And only you choose. But every time you walk away from this circle or from these videos, you'll go back into your life and you try to apply or replicate the feeling you have in here in form. You can't. It's finite. You express the feeling of who you are through form. You don't find it in form. You won't find your purpose in what you do. Your purpose is in who you are. Then you express your purpose through what you do. You're giving purpose to what you do, through what you do. You see, you try to go back in the finite experience and try to find this feeling that we are talking about, or this feeling that you are sensing. You try to find it in what you do. Well, if I get a peaceful home, then I can feel that peace. I just need to move home. In thinking, peace has got to do with your surroundings. The peace that you're feeling is in who you are. What's it got to do with your surroundings? If I can just do what I love to do, then I can keep feeling what I felt, because I felt so much love there. So when I do what I love to do, I feel that. So then you think the answer is to do what I love to do. Yes, in the prison, you're still doing what you love. That's great. Because then you're feeling more and more of who you are. And as you feel more and more of who you are, you begin to let go of who you're not. And that's what the preparation is. That's why I say, do what you love to do what's true for you. You think it's so you can have a better life. No, it's not so you can have a better life. It's because you're connecting with who you are. You are getting familiar with the feeling of who you are. And the more you feel that, the more you're prepared to walk through that door. The more you're familiar with your limitations, and your familiarity comes from what you do, the less you're willing to walk out through that door, because to walk out through that door, you've got to give up everything. Everything. And look, that will make sense this afternoon, because right now you're going, what do you mean I have to give up everything? And I'm not talking about, oh, you have to go give up all your possessions, and you know, some people go and do that. It's not what I'm talking about. You're giving up everything you're given meaning to. Because you can't go and walk into the meaningless, right? And I can't describe this in a truer word, because the moment I say meaningless, you're going, well, what do you mean it's meaningless? Right? You're going to struggle. I feel you will struggle. Every time I say meaningless, you're going to go, well, what do you mean meaningless? But if I can give you another reference point that you do get, right, it's when I say it's nothing, but within the nothing is everything. Everyone can go, yeah, I get that. Because within the nothing, where nothing matters, where there is nothing, I feel everything. I feel connection with everything. Not only do I feel connection with everything, I feel that I am everything, and I am in all places. That's what you feel. But that's in the nothing. Well, another word to describe the nothing is the meaningless. Because the moment it's something, it has a meaning associated to it. Can you see that? So to walk into the meaningless, you have to give up everything that means something to you. Hello. Welcome to what you're really facing. So we're at the edge of the door, looking outside, feeling what's outside, sensing ourselves outside. But at the beginning, if it's your perception is that you are looking, then you are looking something that is separate to you. You are looking The drop is looking outside of the bottle and seeing the ocean, but the drop thinks it's looking at the ocean. But it's not the drop that's looking at the ocean, it's the ocean, because the drop is not really the drop. The drop is really the ocean. It's the ocean that is looking at itself. Can you grasp a part of that? So I think the most powerful question is, who's looking? Who's seeing? And seeing is the sensing, because you're using your sixth sense. And why am I talking about sensing? You're not seeing because you use these eyes for form, to see something of physical nature, right? But the physical is really not physical. It's actually the non-physical. It's actually formless. The drop is not really the drop. It's actually the ocean. But you have to see that with your third eye, as they call it. You sense that, okay? And I think that's the biggest and most important question is, who is seeing? Who is watching? It's not the drop that is looking outside of the bottle. The drop is sitting amongst the ocean. Here it is. This is the drop of the bottle floating on the ocean. And then the drop begins to look outside of itself because the bottle is see-through. It's at its door. And then it sees the ocean. If it's the drop seeing the ocean, the drop won't go into the ocean. I'll give you one more metaphor, and then we can put the fear behind us. The other reason is why you fear to walk out that door. And these are just metaphors. There will be little realizations within yourself. Okay? The other reason is because you think this drop or this body is going to walk outside. And if you were to look through and walk outside that door, imagine this drop. It thinks it has to put the entire ocean, all that water into this bottle. You'd be shit scared too. All that power into this bottle, into this. So before you can walk out, you must first realize, I am not this. Which is one of the things I talk about in the WGF program. I am not this. If you're not this, then who are you? So these are the questions you're starting to ask yourself. You're like, well, this is not who I am. When I'm not present, that's not who I am. But then the question comes, then who are you? So you begin to realize, you begin to be open to who you are. And that's what I mean by walking through the door, because you're walking through the door and having a realization of who you are, but you wouldn't walk through the door until you first realize who you're not. So here's the thing. This is how you can go in this month and self-realize. Continuously look for the meaning you placed on things. What does this mean for me? And you'll see that it means something. If I had this, what does it mean? If I didn't have this, what does it mean? And what you'll find is the very thing that you're looking to fill the void with. You know the void? The emptiness? Recognition, appreciation, acceptance, approval, security. Remember those? They're just 5 labels. If you look at whatever it is that's driving you, all right? What's driving you is the meaning you placed on it. To get this gold medal, it means that this is who I am. It means that others will think of me this way. It means that I will think of myself this way. What does it mean to get the gold medal? What does it mean if I didn't get the gold medal? You're going to find something here in the middle called the agenda. And the practice is to see the very thing that you're looking for that you already have. And if you remember months ago, we did a practice, and we do this in the WTF, where I get people to think about whatever it is that they perceive to need. So you ask yourself, what does this mean for me to have the gold medal? What does it mean to not have the gold medal? Well, it means I won't have recognition. It means I won't have whatever, find the deepest, most truest answer. So for this case, let's just use the word recognition. I won't have recognition. Right? What does that mean? Because again, recognition, why do you want recognition? Because you're looking to find identity. Remember, one of the ways that the ego builds its identity is by trying to get man-made love. It's trying to seek for itself, but it doesn't know the emptiness is love. So it looks for love through form. Recognition, appreciation, acceptance, approval, security. What do you feel when you have, I'm going back to give you reminders. What do you feel when you feel recognized? Appreciation, acceptance, approval, security. You feel loved. You feel safe. When you have security, you feel safe. When you have recognition, appreciation, acceptance, approval, you feel a sense of love. Is that the real love? No, that's the love that you're getting through form. So you place meaning on something because it gives you one of those things. Why do I want the gold medal? What does it mean for me? What does it mean if I don't have it? You find a common answer. It means I get recognition. If I don't have it, it means I don't get recognition. I'm dumbing this down to simplify it. Recognition. Right? Then, do the little practice that we do at the WTF. What does it feel like if I no longer needed? Be present. Feel the recognition. What does it feel like if I no longer needed to have recognition? You see, the idea is for you to realize you already have what you're seeking. It's just not in form, it's in formless, which means it's eternally yours. The recognition that you get through form is temporary. The recognition that you realize in formless is eternally you. Right? So the question is, what does it feel like if I no longer needed to be recognized? Guess what answer you'll realize? Not what answer you'll find, what answer you'll realize. Like a bubble rising up from the ocean, you have a self-realization of the answer. What does it feel like if you no longer needed to feel recognition? What does it feel like, okay, if you no longer needed to feel secure? Ask yourself the question. And then suddenly you do that a little bit more, you do that a few times, there's a part of you that goes, holy shit, I'm feeling what I'm feeling when I'm not pursuing what I feel that I need. For as long as that you're pursuing to need that, that takes up space, and you will continue to feel that you need that. But if you ask yourself, what does it feel like to no longer need that? There's this space that you suddenly feel, and when you describe that space, it is exactly what you perceive to be needing, exactly what you perceive to be experiencing when you get what you perceive to need. But what will stop you from doing this little exercise or this little self-realization process? Yeah, but this is different because this I have a lot of meaning on right now. Don't have time for that little thing Amir gave me. This, this is my marriage breakup. This means a lot. What does it mean? What you're doing is actually becoming one with whatever you perceive to be separate from, whatever you perceive to be lacking. You feel you lack security, you will create circumstances in your life that you will give meaning to, and you'll say, this relationship means security for me. This relationship means love, means appreciation for me. This job means security for me. That's where the meaning is coming from. That's where you're placing meaning. You're placing meaning on the thing that you perceive that will fulfill your satisfaction of your agendas, to fulfill your agenda. Where does your agenda come from? The part of you that perceives there's something missing. Look, let me simplify this even more. Your ego, the part of you that has got existence temporarily through being the form, perceives there's something missing. What's missing is meaning and purpose. What do you feel when you have meaning and purpose? Yes, you feel identity, you feel love in form. All you're looking for is love. But through so many different forms. This is all that is to simplify and dumb it down for you. It is all about love. But you then think it's about money. You then think it's about relationship. It's about health. Even existence, right? Because when you exist, you feel you're loved. You exist, right? The only reason you're not finding love in the non-existence or in the real existence, the part that really exists, that it's eternal, is because the ego cannot look at the non-existence or the formless because it sees nothing. Because the ego only knows through form. So it looks and goes, nothing there. In fact, there's something missing. That's all you're looking for. You're looking for love, and when you find something that gives you a version of love, which is what I've been calling as human-made love, you give meaning to it. And then you become a slave to that. Whatever you gave meaning to, then you become a slave. Because that's how I'm getting my love. In other words, that's how I'm getting my existence. But give up the love that you're getting there. Give up the meaning you've placed on the outside to find the love that is eternal. I think the biggest thing that you can take away from not putting meaning on things, you don't need to understand it. If you don't have meaning onto it, you don't need to understand it. You just feel, and it is what it is. Whether it's a truth, whether it's an emotion, it is what it is. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, see, that's when the good and bad goes away, because good and bad is based on the meaning you placed on it. If something's good, if something's bad, go, well, what does this mean for me? What is the meaning that I've placed on this? Because it's not good or bad, it's not right or wrong, it's not positive or negative, it's neither. The energy is positive and negative comes together. It's good and bad that comes together. It's the external and internal world together. So it's neither of them. So when something's positive, something's negative, something's right, something's wrong, it's all based on the meaning you've placed on it. But it doesn't have any meaning. But then there's a part of you that goes, well, it has to have a meaning. Because something's going to mean something. What? All you are is meaning-making machines, making meaning out of something that is meaningless. I wonder what it would be if you just sat within the meaningless and not need to make meaning out of everything or out of something. I wonder what you will realize.